Right, well, I'll get started then, shall I? And there's bound to be people who arrive late. It's usually me that arrives late. Is everybody here for photography? Everybody here for photography? Great. So where have you come from? Who's come furthest? Usually about a prize. Where do you come from? Nottingham, walked. Good. How that? All three of you. So I'll give you these cards. It's because inevitably, on the way back, where do you come from? Chesterfield, that's quite a way. Where do you come from? Notty walked. Chester Way. Oxford, yeah. Swindon. Oh, here's a card,
Thank you.
That's rather than a Christmas card, all right. So there's two more seats at the front here as well. So yes, I'll give you a card so that inevitably driving back, someone's going to start asking questions in the car, and someone else is going to say, "Why didn't you ask that question when you were in the room?" And so to avoid that argument, do you mind passing them around? Thank you. You can just email me. So my email address is on there. I'm Jonathan, and I look after the photography courses. So if you have questions at the end of this, I'm happy to answer them. If you've come for fashion, can you just make yourself, give me a wave if you come for fashion? Welcome, welcome. You'll be wanting to speak to David Dunnan, who's at the back there, who's waving. And I'm sure he'll welcome you to the fashion shoot. The students are going to be doing a fashion shoot in a bit there. Who's come for sport? So you're going to make friends with Asunta at the back. She's the course leader for sports as well. So grab her details. And then David's already introduced himself. David is who you'll grab for the sort of classic photography, as it were. So we've got Chesterfield so far. Anybody further than Chesterfield? I'm going to go to the back because it's always, people at the back always think they ask questions. So where do you come from? Milton Keynes on the back row. Oxford. Birmingham. Leicester. Very good. Anybody? Any further? Derby, Cheltenham. That's a winner. All right, let's get started. So, hopefully this will work. So what do people see here? Tell me what's going. Picture, thank you. Very good. What do you see? People holding their phones up. What do you see? What do you see? Light. What's going on? What do you see? Anybody seen this picture before? Someone had? No? It won the World Press Photo Award. What's happening in that picture? What do you reckon? People holding the phones up. What are they doing? Videoing something. People, what are they doing? You tell me. They're looking at something. What's happening in that picture, do you reckon? Lunar eclipse. That's a good one. Anybody? What do you reckon? Eclipse. Come on, come to the front. There's some more seats. Front row, help me out. What's going on? There you go, there's two together there. What do you reckon? Photographing the moon. All right, we'll come back to it then. So did people come by the new D&DA building on the way in? So that for me is sort of part of why I came here 3 years ago. It's a £50 million investment in this moment of technological convergence. So, and what that means is that my generation made photographs. Our cameras made photographs. Come on in. You might have to sort of find somewhere at the back or bring a beanbag in. There's some beanbags next door, help yourself. Yeah. So my generation made photographs that hung on walls. But you guys are going to make images that are going to go on backlit screens that have speakers, screens that want to play moving image. It means you have to be able to do all of those things. And that building is specifically built to enable you to do a lot of those things. So things like 3D motion capture, particularly sports guys, people will be thinking about that. It's got its own virtual production suite. Who saw The Mandalorian? Yep. Not just me. Thank you. Yeah, so The Mandalorian, that's famously made this virtual production technology, really raised its profile. If you've not seen it, it's a sort of another world Star Wars franchise set on another world, huge vistas, amazing landscapes, lots of fight scenes flying around, whole thing done in a studio with one of these backgrounds. So we've got one of these now, and we went to one of these studios last year to work out, where does a photographer work in here? This is new territory, right? This is a new job. Where do we fit in? So I presumed it would be the camera person. So I was over there, and the the camera operator is here being directed by the director. And there was a point at which the assistant to the director said, talent coming into frame. Talent coming into frame. Right, so talent, I think you're saying actor coming into frame, but talent could be a dog or a banana or anything. So talent coming into frame. Over this side is what, who is it coined this term? I've forgotten. Disney have coined the dream bar. So somebody's working over here, operating the background. Their assistant said to them, object coming into frame. Right, it doesn't sound like much, does it? But here's the kicker. This person here was a proper film director. And so the language they're using is the language of film. Whereas the person over here operating the background, she was operating in Unreal Engine. She was building the background in Unreal Engine. She's a games designer. She's using games language. This is so emergent right now that no one knows what to call it. So this is what we're going to skill up for. Yes, of course, we're going to be capturing 2D and all the stuff that we've always done. We've got the biggest darkroom facilities here, loads of analog tech. But we're also going to think more broadly about what a photographer might be. So we're the oldest course in the country. I think we're the oldest school in the country. I think we're the second oldest degree in the country, or the other way around. But regardless, what that means is that if you're an NTU alumni, then you immediately become a part of that massive, massive network. If you go to LinkedIn and look at NTU alumni, you can just start to see the depth of that. We're a huge university, it's 30,000 people at Nottingham Trent right now. That's a massive potential network for you. And in this school, that has an enormous fashion department, a massive graphics course, over 100 students on every year in the graphics course, there always are. They're the people you're going to work with. They're the people who are going to hire you. So you need to make those network connections now. But when you leave, you start to reach out through the alumni networks. But throughout this sort of talk, I've put up QR codes. So when you see one of these, please grab it. Please grab your phone up and snap that QR code. The reason I'm asking it now, so this is the sort of classic photography course, and this is their Instagram site. And the reason I'm showing it you is because if you follow them, you can start to see what's going on. But more importantly, you can connect with the actual students. So wherever you choose to go, whichever university you choose to go to, I suggest you don't listen to people like me. You go and speak directly to the students, find them, find out what social networks they're on, speak to them about what's the experience of studying at. So I'm going to give you a few here today where you can go directly to do that. This is the classic photography course. David runs this, and he runs it very much like a family as well. We're mindful that when you guys come, for a lot of you, it's terrifying. It's perhaps the first time you've lived away from home. Might be the first time you cooked for yourself and washed and all that sort of thing. So that first year is very much about building community and looking after people, helping people to learn how to learn very often, and looking after people. This is sports photography. Please grab this. So you can see what the sports photographers are doing. I'm going to show you in a minute, but you'll see that this week they were at St James's Park photographing the England football squads, the male and female squads. They got the whole session photographing them. And if you've not heard of Getty, please look up Getty, regardless of what course you're on. So Getty imaging is pretty much the mother of all sort of photography. And most of Getty imaging is NTU alumni. So we have a really close relationship with them. They got us into St James's Park. They are coming to edit with our students, which I'll come to in a bit. They're going to come and edit a Premiership match on here, on site. Well, I'll come to that in a sec. So, and if you're interested in fashion, please grab this. This is David's Instagram feed. It's brand new because sport and fashion are just coming to the end of their first year, the first time they've run. So, and sport is the only place in the world you can do a degree in sports photography. There isn't anywhere else. There's one place in the world you can do underwater photography, that's Falmouth, and there's one place you can do sports photography, and that's here. So these two courses are new. So please join them. We've got an amazing year in both of them. I'll come to that in a bit when we talk about applications. Please stop me if I talk too fast or there's anything I'm not making clear. And I'm mindful, having taken my kids around universities last year, a lot of the language that I use and assume everybody else understands is, new. So when my daughter said, what does BA mean? What's undergrad mean? I was like, okay, I need to explain that. So for those like my daughter who weren't sure, undergraduate, that's what you're applying for. So until you graduate from university, you're an undergraduate. So you're applying for a BA, a Bachelor of Arts course, not a Bachelor of Science. If you're applying for a Bachelor of Science in photography, you'd probably be doing forensics or something like that, or taking cameras apart. Yours is a Bachelor of Arts, so it's photography as a language, as a mode of communication. You have to make people think and feel differently. You have to be able to affect behavioural changes. You might be wanting to sell products or convince people to donate to a charity or whatever. So you need to be able to speak clearly with this language of images. So that's a Bachelor of Arts. And if you hear about masters and postgraduate, that's a master's course. So after a BA, you could do a master's course for another year, and that would be a postgraduate study. I'll quickly whiz on. So I did classes, and I will get mixed up and talk about year one and classes. What you guys are going to do are modules, same thing. And you're on level 4, 5, and 6. So first year is 4, second is 5. I will continue to wrongly call them first and second year. I put this up, actually. I put this background up because it never occurred to me when I went to college, to university, that I would make a film of someone sort of dancing underwater, right? It just didn't occur to me. But now I sort of think, well, why on earth wouldn't we be doing that? You'll see in a minute that we actually go and shoot at a tank as well. So you can do that sort of thing. So on all 3 courses, they're quite closely aligned, although they have very, very different communities and very different approaches. But the first year is, broadly speaking, it's about skilling up. You arrive here and you're pretty rubbish. But we give you access to all the kit so that after the first year, you feel very confident handling all the kit. And the first year, you just got to pass it. There is nothing on the first year that counts towards your final degree other than you passed it with the full 120 credits. So you don't have to be stressed out when you arrive. It's about making friends, having a really good time, finding your way, getting comfortable with all the kit so that you can start to, in the second year, experiment and explore, move way beyond just this is how you use a camera, this is how you use the lights, and this is how you use a studio. By the time you get to your third year, you'll have some really close friendships. This will be the first time for many of you, many of us, that our friend networks aren't geographic, right? It's not just where my parents planted a house and sent me to school. In fact, this will be the first time that people like you have made this decision to invest in this idea of photography. And that's what's going to bring you together from all around the country, as we've already heard, and from all around the world. And that one thing you'll have in common, you'll have forever. You'll make friends when you go to university, you'll make friends that you'll have forever. So we're mindful of that. So we try to build that community. And by the third year, you're working together to build that third year exit show, that sort of launch platform. So this is, I'm recording this because someone said they might not be able to stay for the whole talk, so I'll record it. We also record our lessons as well, like this, because it turns out everybody learns differently. It seems that everyone who studies photography is on the spectrum or got a learning difficulty, right? And most of the teachers have as well, frankly. So we try and record it, then I'll put a version online that's got my voice with the slideshow, and then you can transcribe that and you can sort of annotate it and all that sort of thing. So I'm going to do exactly the same today. I'll put this on YouTube afterwards, and then if you email me, I'll send you the link to it. If you want the slide set, then just email me. Did everybody get a card, by the way? Don't leave if you didn't get a business card from me, so I've got a load more here. So first year, you can see that there's one module that everybody shares. All 3 courses share that. Fashion, classic photography, and sports photography. That would be sort of, perhaps, it's history, context, and near future of photography. So it's where we talk about why, not just how. Where you learn about the history of photography, the history of this language. Because you need to learn the language if you're going to use it. You don't have to. If you're interested in being a camera operator, just someone who just takes pictures, reacts to stuff that looks nice, I advise you to go to YouTube because it's a lot cheaper than going to university. But if you want to learn this language and you want to speak with it, rather than just being used by it, if you want to use it, then you have to learn the why. The how do I do that stuff? Well, that's taking place in these much more active sessions, but the 2 feed together. You'll be learning about stuff here that we'd be expecting you to implement there. Does that make sense? Wicked. So, and and the sports photography module, again, you can see how it's very similar. They're chopped up, but they're doing different classes with very different approaches. So fashion, as you'll find out, and I've learned this from David Dunnan, who's the new course leader. In the summer, David was still shooting Vogue covers from his studio in New York. And he came here to lead the fashion course. And he has taught me that fashion is entirely collaborative. It is all about working as a team with different roles. So you'll see that in action today with his guys that are working in the studio. Please enjoy that shoot, join in. Sport, again, is very different. You're kind of working on your own a lot, and you're often competing with other people for that shot. We're thinking differently about that. So you can see the 3 courses here. Fashion, very collaborative, aesthetically driven, so very creative. It's the one course out of the 3 that isn't evidential. So the other 2 rely on something existing in the world that you're getting a copy of, whereas that one, you're making it up. It's about imposing your vision on the world. Classic photography is craft-oriented. So when everyone can make images for free, what can you do as a photographer that's different? And we'll come to that at the end again. But one of the things you need to be able to do is do something that can't be digitized. You need to be able to make something that's going to live in the world and age, like a fine print or a book, or I'll show you some examples. But then you can use the image to reach out and connect people, to bring them back to buy that original thing, be it a good or a service, be it a photograph or hiring you to do something. Sports photography, that's different. We're thinking about that. Yes, of course it's going to be making posters and for sport and all that sort of thing. But sports photography is about capture. It's about capture. It's about data capture. Why would you capture 2D when you can capture 3D just as quick? If you capture 3D, then you can still make the 2D image, but suddenly you're making pictures of games. You can make pictures in games. Esports photography is massive. I didn't know that. But your pictures can also become games. And then suddenly you're in a whole different market, right? You can be making 3D capture. I mean, if you think about it, right now you can capture 3D as quick as you can capture 2D. And we can render it in real time, right? So thinking about it, people my age, my media expectations are that I sit down and watch the telly and someone tells me what's happening, the commentator. Young people spent most of their formative years, there are people in the room who will attest to this, spent most of their formative years playing video games. Is that right? Okay. So that's fundamentally different though. There's a point there, because that means they spent their life growing up being the hero of their own story, right? Being proactive, doing stuff. Then media consumption expectations are going to be very different to ours, my generation. Think about it. If we can render, and I wrote this 3 years ago, if we can capture 3D as quick as we can capture 2D, and you can render it in real time, why would you watch a football match from the sideline? Why wouldn't you watch it through the eyes of Lionel Messi or the eyes of the goalkeeper? Why would you watch Formula One from the side of the track, watching them whiz by? Why wouldn't you be in the car? So I'll show you a company that's actually doing that right now. And they came to visit us this week, Dimension Studios. I mentioned connecting with the students. Please grab this QR code. So the third years last year did podcasts, interviews with all the students of their year to talk about what their experiences were like studying. We had nothing to do with this, but thank goodness it's not bad. They're quite nice, but you do get a sense of the difference, right? There's wildly different people there with different interests. So do grab those. Please have a look, and you can connect with those individuals directly then and ask them. So studying here, everybody's going to have a different portfolio. That's one of the things about studying a creative course. We can't just be all doing the same stuff. So you can also personalize your sort of learning portfolio as well. There are points in the courses where you can do optional modules. So once you're in the School of Art and Design, and not all universities are like this, but most are, so double check when you go. Once you're in the School of Art and Design, you've paid for everything. So as you walk around the building, look in the doors and see what's in there. There's an amazing print facility. We've got an amazing bookbinding facility. All the print, all the fabric stuff, ceramics, metalwork, all of that stuff you can do. So there's one point in the second year where you can do a class in that. So, you can do a class in the art of the music video. Someone just help me out. What else is there? What is there this year? Optional video, optional modules. What are this year? optional modules. I can't remember. Well, there's everything anyway. Interview, after the interview, music videos, ceramics, leather making. We're doing leather making workshops this year so that you can create your own portfolios, leather boxes, all that sort of thing. So there's a space there for first part of your second year where you are, you can choose what you want to do. So you make your own learning portfolio unique as well. Obviously, we do sort of seminars and workshops. I guess you'd expect that. This, I'm going to jump back here. This is another QR code. I thought this was lovely. So these students did this. I think they did this last week.
Well, great.
I'll leave you to go and find that. And then the sports photography is there's a different again. So as I said, it's the first year, but in this first 10 weeks, if you can't read this at the back, I don't normally read slides, but I will read it today. They've done 7 tasks: active stills, flash and motion blur, surrealism and the disruption of reality. Who thought that would be in a sports photography course? Environmental portraiture, the heart of the game, players in isolation, photographer and lioness research. They've had 10 workshops already: exposure, post-production, studio intro, studio flash and LED. The LED lights are next door, they're the constant lights. Location lighting, moving image, drone. There's some drones knocking about as well. We expect you to be taking pictures where you hold your camera up to your eye, but not just there. You should be also with the camera away as well. So drones, for example, and 3D capture. 4 visiting speakers, the world champion kickboxer, Martin Brent, the commercial photographer, Cody Froggatt, photographer, Lawrence Griffiths, the director of sport for Getty. And they've been to the St. George's Park, as I just mentioned on, and they've had a brief from Getty already. That's in the first 10 weeks of the first year. So everyone's getting busy. And we've already got some amazing pictures from our first years, which I think this stuff is amazing. There's also a module in the second year where it's called Collab, where you work with people all over the university, and you're given a wicked problem. So this is where you'd perhaps work with graphics, you perhaps work with someone in art direction, you might work with someone in illustration, animation, or filmmaking, and you're given a wicked problem that you have to solve together. So that builds those transferable skills, those soft skills working as a team that we know so employers are after, but young people who have not had a great last few years, right? It's not just the fact that they were born into a poly-crisis and expect to be the solution to the sort of climate emergency. They've also had COVID to live with. And we recognise that's had a profound effect on the young people that are coming through. So a lot of those years isolated we see this effect. And so we're mindful of that. We work hard to sort of try and push people through that. Anybody in the room freelance? Anybody freelance? Yep, some few bids. So I was freelance for 20 years before I started working in education. And there are some amazing things about being a freelance. You can take a holiday whenever you want. You don't get paid, but you can take a holiday, and you can take as much sick leave as you want. Whenever you fancy it, you don't get paid, but you can take it, right? So when I started to work for a big company, for a university, it was a complete change. It's like there's a machine behind you, 30,000 people studying here and working here at NTU. That's a lot of people. When you put your hand in the air and you ask for help, and a few of them turn up, That's immense. So when you go to graduate, we have the full weight of the university to promote you, because that's when they remember that you graduating is their greatest asset. The best advert they can put out is an amazing graduation show, and they support us and they fund that. I mentioned if you're thinking about photography being limited to just capture, I genuinely think you don't need to pay to go to university, genuinely. I use some amazing tutorial clips for cameras and stuff like that from YouTube. I use them. They're not all great, but I can't keep up with the new cameras and the new tech, so I need to use them to learn that stuff. That's where you need to go if you want to just be a camera operator. But when Martin Brent, the commercial photographer, came in, he said the week before, and you can look this guy up, Martin Brent, see his work, the week before he'd done an advertising job, there were 49 people on his team in that shoot. 49. 48 of them didn't have a camera in their hands. That's 48 jobs outside of capture that you could do or should think about as a career pathway. How much do you think his assistant got paid for that shoot? How much do you think his assistant got paid on that shoot? Advertising shoot. Go on. Thousands, blimey. How much do you reckon the assistant got paid on that shoot? Thousands as well. Oh, my goodness, this has gone really bad. So the assistant, right? I was pretty staggered. The assistant, now called a digitech. You heard one of the students there say, "I'm the digitech." So they're on the screen. Images are coming through. They're saying this is out of focus. Change that. The color's wrong. It used to be called the assistant. £500 to £700 a day. £500 to £700 a day. That's a job straight from college. Martin Brent is speaking to us because he lives in Birmingham and he needs assistance. The lighting gaffer, that's the person who comes around, puts all the lights up. Skills you learn here, got paid £900 a day. It was a 5-day shoot with a 2-day setup and a 1-day breakdown. Right? So you do the maths. I am looking at getting one of those jobs. So I did this, right? So we had a student last year who said to me she wanted to do a year placement. Second year, she wanted to go into industry. And I hadn't done it yet. So I tried to work it out and said, "What do you want to do then?" She said, "Well, I want to be in industry." I was like, "Yeah, but where? What sort of thing are you interested in?" And I said, "Have you thought about the advertising agencies?" She said, "I don't want to do advertising." Well, advertising, you can do photography for advertising, but there's an art director there. Do you know what an art director is? No. Okay. Well, the art director pitches the job, or the copywriter pitches the job, and the art director is told that they're going to direct it, what it looks like. The art director goes to the art buyer. The art buyer has to have a portfolio of photographers that can do all sorts of different things. So if the job is like Pines and they're photographing ketchup, they need still life photographers and good ones. If it's a drinks thing, or if it's a lifestyle brand, lifestyle photographers. But that art director needs to know all these different photographers. That's a job you can do, because they'll have an assistant as well, which is a pathway in. There's a location scout that needs to work out where it's going to be. There's a prop stylist. There's a casting agent. There are agents for the photographers. All jobs that you can think about, all related to photography. So I started to map this out: capture, editing, post-production, representation, creative use, editorial. So capture, event, sport, commercial, photojournalism, music, fashion, food, architecture, etc. Editing, sport, news, post-production, retouching, printing, AI studio, and so on. And then after that, I started to put down the companies that those are. And then after the companies, I put the people we know that work there, or alumni. And very quickly, we were able to point to face a person that does that job that we know. So I was able to sort of put her in touch with those people. So that, the latest version of that is outside, and it's on that door actually. And there's another version that's floating around here. So, by all means, if you don't, just please do grab it, have a look, photograph it if you're interested. I'm happy to send those around as well. So Asunta went to Getty. I'm not going to be long now, so if people are sort of hotching her out thinking, when's he going to shut up? I will do in a minute, promise. Asunta went to Getty to see the Champions League final. And this is what happened. The goal is scored. Assunta throws her arms up in the air, shouts, the room goes silent and heads down. So this is the moment they've been waiting for. Trying to get those images classed quickly, which are the best images as they're coming in, they're still coming in. Get the images, class them, identify them. Which do you think was the most expensive image at that moment? Someone from the back. Yes, what do you reckon? One of the Chelsea players. Not one of the Chelsea players. You know your football, don't you? I don't. Are they Chelsea? Excellent. Well, I think you may be right. Who do you think, what was the most expensive picture there? Someone from over there. Someone standing against the wall quietly, can't see the television. How annoying, sorry. What do you think the most expensive picture was? Anyone? The goal. Brilliant. I thought the goal as well. The most expensive picture, we didn't know this, but each player is ranked and each one has a value. The most expensive player was Erling Haaland's reaction to the goal going in. It wasn't the goal scorer. It was his reaction to the goal going in. So, but at this moment, this fella here needs a wee. He needs to go to the toilet. So he taps Assunta and says, can you jump in here for me, please? I've got to go. So Assunta jumps in and takes over and finds that she can go straight into editing, color correction, cropping, framing, labeling. This is so run-of-the-mill, that's stuff that we do all the time. You kind of forget that you've got those collateral skills. That means that any one of our guys could do this. If you just look at this again, just look how sickeningly young these people are. Straight out of college, half of them. So this is what Getty are going to come and do here, over the winter. So they've said they're going to do what they call a ghost session, where a match that's already been played runs, and our photography students will then edit exactly what they're doing there, and then they're going to do a live Premiership match where they'll actually have the experience of doing a live Premiership match. So you'll see our Mac suites in a bit when they go next door. So I've just got some pictures now that are just sort of our graduates. These are often the sorts of things that people want to do. If you want to look for the JK, these are, as I say, alumni. Please reach out to them. Ask them about their experience. Ask them how they're finding it. We started the sports and the fashion courses because so many of our students focused on it for 3 years that it justified having courses of their own. But this is interesting. So I said, do something that can't be digitized. I love this. So Alma Hasser makes these portraits of twins, puts them together. She's a fine art photographer, puts them together, and then has this sort of jigsaw of the two. So these are fine art objects, but she's got digital versions of them that go out and around the world, introducing her to people, that people share, but you have to go back to her to buy the original. So that's a business model that we learn from, we have to think about as we're sort of producing stuff. Alex Pantling, you might recognize him if you saw the adverts for the sports photography degree, this one here. So he kindly let us use that image for promoting the sports photography course. And when we said, what kit do we have to buy? He literally opened his bag up at the side of a Premiership match, photographed it and said, you need to buy this, which we did, which we've got. And I put this one in. So a student produced this last year. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was really lovely. Has anybody got anything to say about it? What is it? Anybody over here? Come on, show them how active you are and engaged. Sorry? You know what sort it is, don't you? Okay. All right. Yes. It is a toadstool. Yeah, that's brilliant. And you knew the name as well. So here's the thing. It's actually an AI image, right? Yes. So we're already starting to become sophisticated enough to sort of spot these AI images, aren't we? When I first saw that, I could not believe it was an AI image. That was only last year. But as somebody has already pointed out, it kind of does look a bit too real. But here's the kicker. We teach AI, and we teach it two ways. One is that you train a data set train an AI on just your data set. So let's say you've got 10 pictures and you want to make 12. You train the AI on your 10 and then get it to suggest the next 2. So we use it as an advanced ideation tool. The other way we teach it is we teach you how to teach co-learning, how to describe stuff. Sarah Parnell could prompt this mushroom because her whole year was about mycelium. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. And so she was able to describe this in perfect detail because she had that collateral knowledge. And as a photographer, she could describe how she wanted it to be lit and presented. So as photographers over the next 3 years, you're going to build that knowledge. And as you specialize in mushrooms or sport or fashion or wedding or cars or whatever it is you want to do, you'll build up that knowledge so that AI won't take your job. You'll be able to use it as well. I'm going to just sort of whiz through this. Has anybody got any questions? I'm sure you've done your research, and we sort of share this we've won lots of awards. We are the #1 university in the country for employability. If you don't get a job in the first, I think it's first 6 months of leaving, we offer you a paid internship, and we have a comprehensive support network here as well. So I asked you at the beginning. Has anybody got any questions, by the way? Sorry, I will ask you again if you've got any questions. Yes. Currently, there's about 60 on each course or each year. So there's about, I think, Santa, how many have you got on your year? Is it 20? Right. 17 in the first year of photography, sports photography. And there's about 20 odd in fashion currently. In the established photography course, there is 50, I think. So looking about anywhere between, it's anywhere about 40 to 50 probably you'll be looking at for your year next year, sort of thing. We have got plenty of facilities for more than that, but and we just expand the teaching base. Anybody got any other questions? So I asked you what this picture was at the beginning. Has anybody got any ideas now what it might be? So we said there's people doing selfies, people sort of photographing the moon, things like that. This picture's is by a photographer called John Stanmeyer, and he won the World Press Photo Award with it. And he called it Signal. And it's people who are standing on the shores of Djibouti trying to get a signal so that they can tell their families where they were before they get in a boat. And we know that they don't get out the other side. Now, the irony of that is that in a world where everyone can be a photographer, apparently, the issue is not speaking, not making images and sharing them. That's really easy. Anyone can do that. Anyone can be a photographer, a witness, a publisher. But when everyone's talking at the same time, the real task is getting heard, and it's getting believed, and moving people to action. The only reason we see this picture is because John Stanmeyer, a photojournalist, happened across them on the beach. They didn't share those pictures. So that's the difference between a camera operator, let's say, and a photographer. Is being heard, being believed, and moving people to action as a result. That's it.